This is another episode of the Backstage Sports Podcast. I'm Joe Connor.
I'm JT Harker.
And today we have a very super special guest. He's been in the NBA. He's been a coach. He's been an ambassador for the game. At his freshman year in college, he led his team, the University of Virginia, to the Final Four. He was drafted 8th overall in the 1987 draft. He went on to play 15 years in the league. He is now a coach and a Fox Sports NBA analyst, Olden Polynice. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time out to kick it with us. So the one thing, it's funny, before you came on that we wanted to we JT noticed this, and I don't think I even really noticed that, but before you got drafted, before you went to the draft, you went and played a year overseas, was that?
Yes, I went to Italy.
Okay, so what brought that about?
Well, a number of things. One, my mother got sick, and I had to pretty much start making some money.
Yeah. Okay.
Like the number one reason.
Yeah.
But my agent, I was already thinking about going for the draft, and when I had come out, you know, my agent, some way, somehow, which, you know, he ended up not being my agent again.
Yeah.
Filed the paperwork in time. And so now here I've already hired an agent. I can't go back to school.
Yeah.
So I had to go find somewhere to play. In Italy, there was an offer to go to Italy, and it was a great offer.
Yeah.
And able to make some money, help my mom, you know, have her surgery and everything else. And, you know, and then I came into the draft with my class.
Wow. Okay.
That's amazing. Okay. Yeah. So that makes sense. We were thinking it was a different country, but Italy actually back then was kind of the other spot to go play basketball, right?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. The competition was great. What I enjoyed most about it was the fact that, again, you know, coming out of college, I'm playing against these men, you know, they're not bad players. They're very good, high-level players.
Yeah.
And that bothered me about the whole experience is like my first game in a locker room, these guys pull out cigarettes and start smoking. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
I don't smoke. And I'm like, but everybody, the coach, players, everybody, it was normal.
That's a European style right there.
Wow.
It was very normal.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's wild. Okay, so the other thing we wanted to ask you about is, so you had the controversy around your draft also was this trade that happened with Scottie Pippen, right? So you were actually say it again?
It's part of history.
Well, not controversy, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean? Like it was notable. Like, you know what I mean? Like I mean, that's got to be a crazy a story that you can, you know, a crazy story that you can tell your kids, you know. So you was actually traded for Scottie Pippen.
Yes.
And
well, so I'll tell you the story how it happened. Yeah. And the only reason it became a story because he ended up being a Hall of Fame player.
Right.
You know, then all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, that's a crazy trade.
Okay,
no one knew who Scottie Pippen was. So I'm sitting there at the draft, and you know, they go with the 5th pick, the Seattle Supersonics. Now, mind you, I've only worked out for 2 teams, one being Seattle, and the other one was New York. But I knew I wasn't going to New York because they're so far down. They had like the 18th pick. Yeah. I'm not going to New York. And so with the 5th pick, the Seattle Supersonics select, and I'm about to get up. You could see me in video like rising up.
Yeah.
And Commissioner Stern says, Scott Pippen. I'm like, who the hell is Scott Pippen? We never heard of this guy. No one in that room had heard of Scottie Pippen at all, except for Krause and a few other general managers. That was it. I don't even think they knew. I think Krause was the only one that found that gem. Yeah. And so I look at my agent, and I'm like, I look back, I'm like, what's going on? I was supposed to be the 5th pick. And I'm mouthing this stuff to him. He's like telling me to relax. It's okay. So they go to 6th pick, 7th pick, and then with the 8th pick, Chicago Bulls select Olden Polynice. So I'm like, Yeah. I'm all excited. I'm going to play with Michael Jordan. Yeah. I'm like, I don't care about Seattle anymore. Even though that's where I wanted to go. And I said that's why I wanted to play for Seattle. Mm-hmm. So come to find out, and Krause talked about it in the documentary The Last Dance.
Yeah.
So what happened was Chicago found out that Sacramento was gonna pick Scottie. They wanted Scottie Pippen, and they couldn't make a trade to move up.
Yeah.
So, and Chicago really wanted Scottie Pippen. So rather than do the trade a week before, whatever, it was like, hey, you pick Scottie for us. We'll pick Olden for you, and then we switch afterwards. So the trade was made the night before.
Oh, okay.
It just wasn't announced till after the draft. So we got technically drafted by Seattle and Chicago, but it was done the night before.
Okay.
So if the trade had happened the night before, none of this would be a story.
Right. Right.
Chicago
Right.
had the 5th pick, and Seattle would have had the 8th pick.
Yeah.
You know, that's interesting because that raises another question. They had to bank on, because you went 8th, right? 7th or 8th?
8th.
So you had to go 1-2 more slots down for that to work, right?
Yeah.
Did they felt those teams already knew who they wanted?
Yes, all those teams knew. The only wrench in the whole thing was Sacramento. Everybody else picked, the picks that they wanted. Sacramento was still unsure.
Yeah.
And then Scottie had those workouts. Then all of a sudden it was like, hey, let's try and see if we can get this kid because we're hearing a lot of good things about him. And so they ended up drafting Kenny Smith. But they really wanted Scottie Pippen. So, but that was nixed because of the trade, for he and I.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's a
nuts.
great
So
story.
I lost 5th pick money.
Yeah, right. How about that? How about that? And then you ended up actually playing for Sacramento. So
I ended up for Sacramento years later. Yes.
Yeah. So that's cool.
Big basketball fan, played through high school, played against some guys that played in the league. We both have such a love for the game. Remember watching you as a kid, a lot of great memories. But you were born in Haiti, which I didn't know, and you graduated high school in the Bronx. When and how did you make your way to New York and play your high school ball there?
Oh man. Okay, great question. So I was born in Haiti. So actually, let me go back. I was born in Haiti with a deformity.
Wow.
Really?
I was born with both my feet turned inward. So
Really?
Yeah. And so now they had to basically re-break my legs or break my legs and set them straight. And I had a cast on for 2 years. Now, when I say that, you got to remember, I'm from Haiti. We don't have the best medical in the world. So,
right.
So that's why I am a walking miracle.
Yeah.
And so I lived there until I was 8 years old, came to the U.S. My parents, my dad came in 1970. My mom came in, my dad came in 68, my mom in 70, and we came in 72. So, but I never played basketball the whole time. I didn't watch basketball. I didn't know basketball. And it wasn't until high school, like my second years, my freshman year, I started watching basketball. And my sophomore year, I actually started playing basketball. Wow. And the reason I played basketball is because here I am, I'm the #1 student in my school. And so I'm probably going to get an academic scholarship, but it wasn't certain. But then the coach told my parents that if I got good enough playing basketball, because I went, I left that part out. I went from 6 feet to 6'8" between my freshman and sophomore year. So that's when the whole
That's nuts.
Wow.
Story short, he told my parents he can get an athletic scholarship and he doesn't have to pay for college. My parents, heard the free word, hey, I play basketball.
Straight up.
This little 5'5" man, Irish coach took me and made me a basketball player. Taught me from step one, how to catch the ball, how to dribble the ball, how to do everything. And 6 years later, I was a professional.
Wow.
That's incredible. That's incredible. So Joe covered this a little bit, but the story is pretty amazing. So you go to Virginia as a freshman, you guys make it to the Final Four, but you were I don't know what your seed was, but you had to beat #2 Arkansas, number 3 Syracuse, and number 4 Indiana to get to the Final Four. What was that run like and your experience that year at Virginia?
It was incredible. Again, going back, I get to Virginia, I was highly recruited, but we had another guy named Tom Sheehy. He was like the Larry Bird. So, coming into Virginia, he was getting all the notoriety and everything else. So I was in the back working hard and trying to get better. I wasn't starting, I wasn't getting a lot of minutes. And then middle of the season, we had a game against George Washington and Mike Brown. Now, Mike Brown played about 12 years in the NBA. He's about 6'8", 6'9", built like a tree trunk. And so I was like, that's my first starting job matchup, and I go up against him. I think the fear got most of me because I had an out-of-body experience. I had one of the best games ever because I was so scared.
Yeah.
I just played well. And so, it's like, and then pretty much I was just started from that point on. So we get to the Final Four, we didn't have a great record. And people always said that we only made it because Dick Schultz, who was our athletic director at the time, was on the committee. So we basically got in because of him, is what people were saying.
Yeah.
So we were the lowest seed to get in, I think at that time ever. And so we start out, our first game was against Iona College. And we beat Iona against my former high school teammate, Troy Truesdale, and, great Iona team, But we won that game, and the next game was against Arkansas. And it was, yikes, now I got to go up against Joe Klein. Another guy.
Wow.
Another guy built like a damn oak tree.
Right.
There's all these big muscle-bound dudes that have been playing basketball so many years, but I swear to you, it was like sometimes fear is a good thing.
Right. Yeah.
Because you got to remember, like I said, I'm still in my infancy.
Yeah.
As far as basketball.
Yeah. Even more so than the average, freshman
my year of college is my third year actually of playing basketball.
Yeah, that's nuts. That's crazy.
That's my
insane.
Third year of playing basketball.
Yeah.
And so I'm learning as I'm going, but I'm playing so well against these guys, it's helping our team. I'm not saying I carried the team, but my play helped everybody else.
Yeah.
And then we ended up playing Indiana to get to the Final Four against Uwe Blab, Steve Alford, Bobby Knight's coaching. I'm like, oh my God, the legendary Bobby Knight. I've heard of him.
Yeah.
And we beat them, and then we get to the Final Four against Hakeem Olajuwon and the Houston Rockets. Phi Slamma Jamma.
Man.
Well, against them, we had the game. We literally had the game, right?
Yeah.
Seconds to go. Hakeem leaves me to go get Othell Wilson. I'm under the basket, wide open. Instead of dumping it to me for the layup, buzzer beater, he tries to shoot over Hakeem. He blocks it. We go to overtime, and we lost in overtime.
Wow. Well, that leads me to another question that I was going to wait until we talked about your NBA experience. But we all know that MJ is the most touted guy from that era. But Hakeem's one of those guys that doesn't get talked about enough. And you as a big man, I know would have gone up against him in the league. But come to find out, it was in college. How good was he in college?
He was really good in college. Not what he became in the NBA, but he was really good in college. And so, again, it was just a great experience for me playing against all these guys, because after my year and playing against that level of competition, especially the run in the playoffs, my confidence level shot through the roof.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was the man. I told myself, you can't, if I can play against these guys 3 years in, you ain't nothing you can tell me. I can go up against anybody.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. So you go on, you develop, and you end up all first team All ACC, correct? Your junior season. When did you kind of know? Was it that tournament the first year, or when was it that you knew that you had a real shot at the league?
When I shook David Stern's hand.
For real. Okay.
Wow.
I'm not even gonna lie about it. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to the NBA. I just felt, I was very confident and felt good about what I was doing. But I really didn't think about the NBA until literally when I got drafted.
Yeah.
Up until the point, I was just trying to make it. Again, you got to remember, I'm still learning basketball.
Yeah.
Right. Incredible.
Yep.
So I got to ask you this. Joe and I go back, and we've been doing this show since COVID started. We go back and forth about the LeBron MJ thing, but I'll just get it out right now. I'm a huge MJ fan. That was my childhood, right? It's nostalgia for me. But you played against Jordan literally in his prime. What was it like playing against him, and what do you feel like? Because there's a lot of talented guys. He was obviously physically gifted, but what do you think really separated him from a lot of the competition in the league at the time?
Well, I'll say this. Michael is one of the greatest I've ever seen. I played against him in college. And again, he's another guy, I used to talk to him on the phone while we were in college before he got to the NBA. So we had a friendly relationship. And when I got to the NBA and saw the growth in his game, it was incredible because he was totally different than he was in college. But
nobody saw Michael coming from not a scout, not a GM, like nobody.
Bobby Knight did.
Yeah, Bobby Knight probably. But I got to give a special shout out to somebody who I thought personally was better than Mike, and that was Len Bias.
I've heard that. It's funny. I've heard that before.
He was incredible.
Having played against both of them, I mean, this guy, he was LeBron before LeBron. I mean, he had the body, the speed, jumping ability, the shooting, the defense. He could do it all. But, getting back to Mike, Mike is a GOAT. I'm not going to say he's the GOAT, but he's a GOAT. The thing about Mike, when everybody wants to have these arguments, is the fact that you really can't judge errors. You have to just appreciate all of them, for what they were. Yeah. I got to 50s for what they did with limited resources. I got to appreciate the 60s for what they did based on civil rights. You're playing basketball, but you can't stay in the same hotel with your teammates.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I respect the 70s for what they did because the drug thing was rampant.
Yeah.
Give the 80s their props because of Bird and Magic. The 90s got to get. So that's how I try to do it. But Michael is the king of the global marketing.
Yeah.
I think Michael started that. He grew the league. He helped grow the league. He and David Stern, because David Stern was a genius with that. Yeah. And he used Michael's talents to grow the league. And so now jump forward to like a guy like LeBron. He's a hell of a player. And one of the things that I hate is when people say, well, if LeBron played in the 80s and 90s.
Hate it.
Stop. That's like somebody saying, if I was there, I would never have been a slave. Dude, you would have been getting your ass whooped.
Man, it's funny. Joe and I talked about this. This occurred to me one day when I was in the gym, actually, a while back. But it's in some ways, I actually feel like LeBron could almost be better in MJ's era, and MJ could be better in today's era because LeBron, with the physical style of play and less emphasis on three-point shooting, that's LeBron's game, right? And the physicality wouldn't have bothered him at all.
Yeah.
And then MJ with the no hand check, and you know what I mean? Like it would.
He destroyed people right now with that first step and them big hands, and you can't touch him.
Yeah.
Please. So that's why I would say, like, LeBron would have flourished in the 80s, 90s because he does play a physical style. And I think a lot of times the referees and the rules, it takes away from his game, what he really wants to do.
Yeah.
And so I just try to appreciate the game, but it's kind of cool the fact that, my first game, like I say, my first game was against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and my last game was against LeBron James.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Wow.
I've had everybody in between those two, so that's amazing.
Yeah.
Kareem. Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, that's literally the entire spectrum of today's GOATs.
Olden, who are some guys that you played against that you feel don't get talked about as much and maybe were underrated, but great players?
There's so many. I mean, Karl Malone comes to mind. John Stockton doesn't get talked about enough. In the greatest point guard of all time. This man, his record. Now, that is a record that won't be touched.
Yeah.
That is record will not be touched.
That's
Yeah.
an insane record.
What the hell it is? You can combine guys. I don't think they're gonna get it.
Yeah.
So to me, it's a tough. It's gonna be one of those records it's gonna take a long, long, long time to break.
Yeah.
You know, Dominique, I don't think gets a lot of credit.
True.
You know, he did some things that we had never seen. You know, a guy like now. I just saw this thing about Gary Payton and Sean Kemp. Sean Kemp was a monster.
The beast.
Yeah.
He was a monster to deal with, man. On every, whether it was me and him going against each other in practice or that when we weren't teammates playing against each other, he was a problem. And he doesn't get, I don't think, enough credit. You know, we tend to focus on certain people.
Yeah.
And
Right.
and so, and it's unfortunate. There's been a lot of great players over the years, you know,
Yeah.
that's
It's
talked about enough.
It's funny you say that because, like, you know, we do it, and a lot of debates, they go with how many Hall of Famers LeBron and MJ played with the comparisons, and they'll put out the number for MJ. I'm like, look, I'll let you get away with not saying Sean Kemp's a Hall of Famer because he's not, but if you know, you know. That dude was an absolute
He should have been.
monster. He
Yeah.
was a monster.
You know, the weight gain and injuries got him, but
Yeah.
he was an incredible talent. You know, we got Sean, you know, at 19 years old, and Sean changed a lot of things for the NBA. People don't realize because we used to drink in the locker rooms. After, like we used to have beer in the fridge.
I love it.
Guys, alcohol. The NBA, once Sean Kemp got into the league, all that had to stop. We had to take it away because he was a minor.
Wow.
Oh, wow. So he
That's
changed
incredible.
the game on and off the court.
Did Sean Kemp come out of high school, or did he do a junior college thing?
Out of high school.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Sean Kemp. Did you play with Mitch Richmond, Olden?
Yeah, I did.
He was my favorite
Yeah,
player.
I played with 8 Hall of Famers, I think. 7 or 8, something like that. No, wait up, more than that. Oh, Lord. Man, I played with a lot of Hall of Famers. Isaiah Dumas, Rodman, Mitch Richmond, Stockton Malone, Peyton. Is that 8? Yeah, that's 8.
Did you play with Chris Webber?
No, against them.
Against
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I left Sacramento. That's when that switch came around with Vlade and Chris. All those guys came in.
Those are two guys actually that come to mind that don't get talked about as much. Also, Chris Mullen. I know you had to have played against Chris Mullen.
Oh, I've known Chris since high school.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Oh, he's a New York guy. He's a New York guy.
Know the whole family. I coached his little brother, so I know the whole family.
Oh, wow.
And I've known Chris. I've watched Chris since high school. He does not get talked about enough.
Yeah.
You know, the one thing people always try to bring up, like I said, because we're in a society of negativity. I don't know if you remember this. NCAA tournament, they were playing. Chris Mullins is 95% free throw shooter, goes to the line, and he misses both free throws.
Really?
That's all people want to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the biggest Chris Mullen story. Yeah.
Yeah, and with Chris Webber, they like to talk about the timeout call against North Carolina.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, those two are two of the greatest to ever.
Yeah, people definitely sleep on Chris Webber. Okay, so we got a lot to get into. Let's get into it because we got to get Olden out of here. Let's just start real quick. It's NBA Day. The season starts today, so we definitely want to get to that. But real quick, we got to talk about a little bit of this mess that is going on in the NFL. The Steelers came back, and I wish we had a big Steelers fan on last week. I almost wish he was on again because I need him to answer for the Bengals. I need him to answer for the Bengals. I need him to answer for the Bengals, and I need all of y'all Steelers fans who jumped in my DMs and my comments when I made the comment about them losing to the Washington team with no name. I need y'all to come back with that same energy and explain the Bengals for me, who are effectively worse than the Washington team. With no
division
name.
games are tough, bro. Division games. They're always tough.
That's
a rough one, though. That's a rough one.
It's like, and I get it. I I get that division games are always tough and it's always a toss up and it's the NFL. So you know, it's any given Sunday and blah, 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 blah. I get that. But I think for y'all to argue us down that the Steelers should have the respect that everybody else gives, you know, the Chiefs or, you know, anybody else who would have been 11-0 or whatever. Like now I feel like the Steelers have proven everybody right. Am I wrong in that take of thinking that like this is what everybody was saying for weeks when they said that the Steelers were not the 11-0 team that they wanted us to kind of perceive them as?
Can I answer that?
Yeah.
I personally, and before I get going, I'm saying this because knowing that Mike Thomas and I are friends, and so I try to be very respectful to our friendship. Yeah. But that team is trash. Listen, I know they were 11-0, but they really got exposed. 3 straight games they've gotten exposed.
Yeah. They're trending the wrong way. They're trending the wrong way. Yeah.
Yes, and so to me, it's not about the 11 wins, you know, early on, because there was so much going on with, you know, cancellations, all this stuff.
Yeah.
COVID. So you kind of like had an edge. Now that it's settled in and teams are like locking in, they are really picking the Steelers apart. Every side of the ball. Yeah. Offense and special teams. They're just getting pummeled right now. Yeah. And it's sad to see because, like I say, I want them to do well because of Mike. But here's the one thing, and I saw it earlier today, you know, there's a report about it, about Juju. Yeah. Juju had to stop with that midfield dance.
What's up with that? I like this.
Trying to light him up now. And we saw that last night. Yeah. And so he's going to have to ease up on that, man, because to me, it's like this. It's like when guys make comments, you know, but you don't have to deal with it.
Right.
You know, the quarterback may have to deal with it. This defensive back has to deal. So it's like Juju, they're coming at Roethlisberger because of you know, dancing at midfield. They're coming at, you know, at you because of what you do. So people are like, the defense is targeting them right now because of the disrespect. Yeah. If you're going to win, just win. You know,
right.
You mentioned the Kansas City Chiefs, why they don't get the same kind of level of respect, because Kansas City Chiefs, they don't have players doing stuff like that.
How about that?
Yeah, it's very antagonistic. Very antagonistic.
Just play the game.
Yeah.
And I don't understand where it came from because Juju wasn't that guy. When Antonio Brown was there, Antonio was that guy. So I don't know, does he feel like I got to fill some shoes? I got some shoes to fill now that Antonio is gone? Because I don't get it. That wasn't his personality. He wasn't, you know, and he was performing a lot better as well when Antonio was there.
Yeah.
Not to cut you off, I'll tell you exactly what it is. Social media. Mm-hmm. They all going for. They're all going for followers.
Yeah.
True. And Juju's very, very all about the social media too.
Yeah, by hook or by crook. You know, you see him dancing, he's always videotaping himself. That's what this thing is about. Yeah. And I'm like, do your job. The hell with social media.
Right.
True.
Right. Because it's not looking good for them. This is not how you want to go into the playoffs. Regardless.
Oh, they out first round. I'm calling it right now.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, regardless of what your record was or how y'all looked weeks ago, this is not how you want to go into the playoffs in a 3-game skid. And not even because my thing was, it was the competition. Like when I look back on even at week 11, I'm like, y'all didn't beat any. You know, I don't see you beat up on the Giants and the Eagles and the Texans and the Jets. So it was a competition, but y'all not losing to good teams now. So it's like, it's not even a competition thing at this point. You know what I mean? So this is looking iffy for them. Okay, let's a couple more here. So I don't know if you guys can explain it, but I can't explain it. Why the Atlanta Falcons love to gift Tom Brady with wins. They did it again. And I swore it wasn't gonna happen Sunday. Like I looked and it was 20. I wasn't watching the game, but a friend of ours, John Chafin, who's been on the podcast a couple weeks ago, he's texting me early on the game. They're up 20-7. I'm like, oh, y'all got this. You're good. Not even what, 40 minutes later, he's like, here we go again. I'm like, what do you mean? What's the score? He's like, it's tied. What? It's tied. So
Part of it is them folding it in, but the other part is Tom Brady's still a good quarterback, and he had to come back. Joe, come on, give him some props. You hate to give Tom Brady props.
I give Tom Brady props, but that's a terrible Atlanta Falcons team.
But also, it's the inevitability of it all. Mm-hmm. See, sometimes we get locked in mentally.
Yeah.
That no matter what, we can play our greatest game, we're going to lose.
Yeah. It's got to be a mental thing.
Yeah. And so that mental aspect is the key, because it's like, well, damn, we lost the Super Bowl to Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And like, wow, now here it is again. So sometimes subconsciously it just plays in your mind, and you take it. Because you got to remember, it's kind of like a perfect example, the Clippers.
Yeah.
No matter what we do, something's going to go wrong.
Yeah. Clippers going to clip.
We're the Clippers.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, but it's something that can't be shaken. I've always said they're going to have to change the name.
Yeah, just wash it away.
Just get rid of all that juju and everything else. Just clear yourself of this, because until that happens, it's always going to be the same thing. Yeah. I saw them losing to the Denver Nuggets before they lost to the Denver Nuggets.
Really?
Yes, because it was like you could just feel it. You know, me being, in the game so long and still working for the Clippers, I watch body language. I watch movements, the interactions, plus I have some inside track information, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. So we're having arguments in the locker room, even though it wasn't made public. It was like there was a lot of dissension going on.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, we're going to lose.
Yeah. Yeah. It's got to be a mental thing. It's got to be a mental thing where they was crushing in the first half, and in the second half they're playing not to lose again. You know what I mean? Because it's the same thing that happened in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they'll never recover from that. The Super Bowl was the pinnacle. They had the Super. Joe, listen. I love football. I'm a Giants. I've taken my ups and my downs.
Right.
You will never get that close. People want to talk about the Buffalo Bills and all that, all 4 heartbreaks, 4 straight Bowls and 4 heartbreaks. I get that. The Atlanta Falcons had the Super Bowl. The champagne was already uncorked.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
All you have to do is keep. Anyway.
Yeah.
That one was probably the most gut-wrenching thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was for America.
That organization will never recover from that.
Yeah, it was. It's just I don't know what's going on with Atlanta this year, but it's like the Tom Brady. It's like it's kryptonite. But it's I think it's like you said. It has to be a mental thing, because I can't make.
I mean, you can fire the coaches all you want.
Yeah. You
can fire the GM all you want.
Yeah.
You are the Atlanta Falcons, the team that gave away the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you are a Giants fan. I am from Philly, so I'm an Eagles fan, and the shit show that is the NFC East continues. Last week we kind of thought that we would have some clarity on it, because it seemed like Washington was kind of pulling away, and everybody else was fading away. Although the Eagles lost to the Cardinals, Jalen Hurts played good, and there was a story that came out, I guess, just before the game, that basically they were reporting that Carson Wentz had said, if he is not going to be the starter moving forward, he wants to be moving. He wants out of Philadelphia. At the time that I see this story, it's halftime and Jalen Hurts has 3 touchdowns. And I'm like, bye, Carson. Like, it's over. Like, you officially lost your job before the game is even over. Like, it's done. So the question is, if you're the Eagles organization, if you're the GM, what do you do with Carson?
I'm keeping Carson Wentz. I think he's a very good quarterback. They're going to have to make a decision between he and Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts right now is playing, but you got to remember, it's a lot easier to play well when there's nothing at stake.
You're right.
And so to me, that's, something that you got to look at. I think, again, with the Eagles, their problem is not just at the quarterback position.
Oh, it's definitely not. Yeah, it's a lot of holes to fill.
Yeah, but we tend to focus on the quarterback. And so to me, that's what they got to look at. Now, if he's saying publicly he wants out, then that's going to be an issue for them, and they're going to have to figure something out. But, I'm happy for Jalen Hurts. You get the opportunity, make the most of it. But again, if I'm picking between the two of them, I like Carson Wentz's size. I like what he's done. Even though he wasn't the winning quarterback in the Super Bowl, he still helped get him to that point.
He did. But it's like he regressed. That's what I don't understand. Like, the thing with Carson is, like, similar to what we were talking about with the Falcons, like, we can't put our finger on what happened to Carson. Like, what happened to where you watch him and his decision making has regressed, his pocket presence has regressed. And it's just like, it's almost like another case of the mental aspect where he's like flinching in the pocket and, Yeah,
well, when you get hurt, that's usually what happens. Everything coming at you looks like, oh my God, it's gonna hurt.
I was mentioning the Atlanta thing too. It's a huge mental thing, and the other part of it is you're dealing with your mental stuff, and meanwhile, all these defensive coordinators now in the NFL have all the film on you. Once they figure out a few things, and you're in your head, because he's not the first guy we've seen come in, storm the league, and then 3-4 years later, Andy Dalton's another one, pro bowler, and then all of a sudden one day you look at him, you're like, who is this guy?
Yeah,
like this guy came in on fire in the league for even 2-3 years, and now he doesn't even look like he belongs in the NFL.
Well, a lot of guys, that's the difference between good quarterbacks and great quarterbacks.
Right.
And because the guys that can do it consistently, regardless of what the defensive coordinator throws at them, like a Patrick Mahomes, a Tom Brady, a Peyton Manning, those become great players. Yeah. But guys that, I have a great week and then I have a bad week, then you're just going to be, you're always going to be that way. Yeah. It's like Kyler Murray. I love what he's doing, but after that miraculous catch to D-Hop, then he followed that up with some trash games.
Yeah, he did.
Because one of the worst things for young players, I don't care what sport it is success. If you don't know how to deal with success, it will eat you.
It'll corrupt you.
They start believing the bullshit.
Yeah.
They start believing it. Oh, I just did an interview at ESPN. Yeah. So what?
Yeah, they smell themselves. Yeah.
Especially at that quarterback position, because there's so much involved. And if you're not living in that film room, and other guys are willing to put in the hours, you're going to fail.
Somebody's coming to take your job.
Speaking of taking somebody's job, the other quarterback that I think is going to be a conundrum for a couple of teams this offseason, mainly the Patriots, is Cam Newton. Now, the Patriots are officially eliminated from the playoffs, which is the first time in a long time. But they also don't really have that many other options, behind him. So if you're the Patriots, what do you do with Cam Newton?
Well, Cam said he can still be elite, and he's going to have to show it. But see, it's so hard with football, again, because Cam and the offense can score 20, but the defense can give up 30.
Right.
It's just the quarterback. It's all the components. But to me, I think Cam can still be a very good quarterback in this league.
I do too.
He's a quarterback.
Yeah.
That doesn't just go away.
Yeah, I do too.
Regardless of injuries and all that, you got to give him the same O-line that he had in his MVP year.
Yeah.
Or the same O-line you gave Tom Brady.
Yeah.
It's about time. Yeah. Because look, okay, Dak Prescott's hurt, right?
Yeah.
So Andy Dalton comes in. Now all of a sudden, what happened to the O-line?
Right.
Now all of a sudden, do you favor Dak Prescott over Andy Dalton?
Yeah.
What's the deal? How come you guys are not performing at that same level? So sometimes they drop because somebody does get hurt, but everybody has to be able to step up for success to happen for teams, especially in football. You can get away with shit in basketball.
Yeah.
Because, it's like I always say, basketball is a one-on-one game played by 5 people.
Yeah.
So that's a lot easier to manage as opposed to football because offense doesn't control what the defense does and vice versa.
Yeah.
Right.
But
I'll tell you.
If Carson wants to leave, he can always go to New England.
Yeah, it might happen because I think he done in Philly. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Trade him in the division.
He won't. But I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up somewhere else. If you are To me, I still believe in Cam. You know what I mean? So to me, I wouldn't be, especially when you don't really have any other option. I mean, who you gonna start? Jarrett Stidham, like, next year, so I would hold on to Cam, and I think Cam needs some help, around him. And I think he obviously has some work to do himself, but I still believe in Cam.
Yeah, I was gonna say we'll take either one of those guys in San Francisco because we
Yeah,
got
how about
weapons and we got a defense. So
Yeah.
Either one of those guys would have a resurgence with the
I
Niners.
thought you guys had a quarterback.
Man, I thought we did too. Olden.
Everybody did.
I thought we did too, man. Hopefully, if we stick with Garoppolo, hopefully he has the resurgence. But man, he has not looked good this year.
OEG's living the life, man.
Yeah.
Porn star Jimmy needs to
Porn
step
star
his game
Jimmy.
up.
I'm telling you, success is a tough thing.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, before we get to the association, just a little nugget from Major League Baseball. They are now saying that they're going to include the Negro League numbers and historical stats. And the thing that I've been hearing that people have been going back and forth about is that the numbers that might affect the home run champ situation. Do you think that if they input these numbers, do you think it's fair if it affects the home run champ numbers? If should Josh Gibson be, considered the home run champ if they put his numbers in and his are better?
No. And I say that to say this. I commend Major League Baseball for doing this.
I do too.
Should have happened a long when a lot of people were alive.
Yeah.
But doing it now, and so we have to take it for what it is. But it's two different leagues. The Negro League, they play their style, and their dimensions. The Major League Baseball plays their thing. And because of the fact that there was never any cross play between them, like consistently, I just don't think that, that's like adding Japanese home runs into the mix.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but that's just how it is. We just have to learn from it. I doubt it'll ever happen again, because we're in 20, but that's it. Just let it be. Acknowledge them, appreciate what these gentlemen did in the Negro League because they were not allowed to play in the major leagues.
Yeah.
But it's stretching it when we're trying to just add, numbers to, records that are already there. Plus, they're Troy Elias. They got all that.
I agree. I agree.
Stuff out, man. They're like, man, that's too much work.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I agree. It's a shame, but because someone like Arvidas Sabonis, who you played against, Olden, like he's one of the. His numbers would put him up amongst some of the greatest big men ever. But instead, he's just a guy that most people don't remember. Obviously, his son is a fantastic player in the league now, but he's a guy most won't remember. But like he didn't even play in the NBA in his prime.
Yeah,
in his prime, he was a monster.
Yeah.
Oh, no one wanted to see Sabonis. Yeah, it's along those lines. It's like, hey, I understand and give them their due, the Negro Leagues, and they'll pass on down to their families, the recognition. If you want to do plaques and everything else, I'm okay with that. But as far as now you want to put Satchel Paige, all his wins, just acknowledge it, if you want to, but try to say, well, it should be in the record books included within Major League Baseball. I think that's just pushing a little bit too far.
Yeah. Didn't Satchel Paige pitch into his like mid-50s?
60s.
Yeah.
60s?
He was the oldest.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That
his last
insane.
game, I think I heard he was 60.
So I'm asking myself, were they using the same baseballs? Were they using the same bats?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's tricky because people were saying the same thing about Babe Ruth and how they felt like, people consider, some people will consider him to be the greatest, but he also didn't play against, the same competition. You know what I mean? It was the same thing there where it wasn't everything. Inclusion wasn't a thing.
That's why I would say, man, appreciate everybody for what they did in their time.
In their era, yeah.
Cross eras, cross generation. You can't do it. It's impossible.
Yeah.
It's like the whole steroids thing. I'm like, come on, man, stop, man. Steroids didn't help these guys. You know, because Barry Bonds was Barry Bonds before steroids.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets a lot of –
his numbers were already Hall of Fame numbers.
Yeah.
So I'm from the Bay Area, Olden, and he gets a lot of flack, and I get it, and it's a lot of it because the media and him did not get along. He was a Bay Area kid, went to the same high school as Tom Brady, by the way, near where I'm from. But the thing with him was he was, I think, a multiple-time MVP, played for my Giants, best player in the league, and everyone wants to talk about what he did after steroids. And I'm like, look, I get that some of the numbers were inflated, but please go look at what he did before steroids before you start talking about what he did after steroids. Because he
never been proven guilty of using steroids.
Yeah.
You know?
True.
And so you can't really say he used it. You may imply it, but you can't say he did because you have no proof.
Yeah.
And so but let's go back though. How about all the stuff those players were doing in the 1800s, 1900s? So how about the racism back then? Do you not put them in because of that?
Yeah.
You know, a lot of those guys were flat out racist.
Right.
You know,
right.
so you may have racists in the major league, in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and then you had the guys that partied all night, drank alcohol, did all kinds of stuff during games. There's so many different components to all this stuff.
It's a lot. It's a lot of layers to it.
Yeah, I just don't like people trying to judge and be, you know, uppity and everything else based on the fact that they have a vote. I'm like, I hate when the media gets involved with a lot of stuff because you're doing it because, you know, you don't like somebody. The greatest injustice is Pete Rose.
Yeah. I was just going to say that.
Pete Rose has nothing. Pete Rose, the player, has nothing to do with Pete Rose, the manager.
Right. At all.
The player is a Hall of Famer and should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah,
I don't care what I don't care if he, well, I do care if he molested somebody, but I don't care if he gambled.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, shit, so what? He didn't bet against his team to lose. He bet on his team to win.
Yeah.
But he did that as a manager once he was already retired. So to me, that's the worst one of all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of layers to it. So it'll be interesting to see how it ends up, how they end up fleshing it out. But like you said, kudos to MLB for doing that. I want to get y'all's finals picks, but before we get y'all finals picks, we want to get your take, especially you, Olden, because we've been talking about this situation with the Sixers for a while, and there's a couple components to it, right? So there's the issue of the trade, right? Like, do you put up Ben Simmons in the James Harden trade? There's that issue, and then there's the other issue of I know that you are a coach, and that you know, the last time I was working with you, you were interested in some coaching jobs. I also want to know, do you think that Doc, because me and JT had an argument about this, so you can kind of break the, you know, be the deciding factor, because my thing was that Doc took the better coaching job when he had to pick between the Pelicans and the Sixers. JT feels like the Pelicans were the better coaching job. So I want to get your take on that. You know, which job would you, if they're calling Olden and they saying, we want you to come to New Orleans, we want you to come to Philly, which job do you take?
Personally, I would take the 76ers job.
Thank you.
I think
I'm usually right on this show, but
yeah, it's better. It's a better job. They have more chances of making the playoffs. And
so also you're calling them a contender, which JT doesn't think they are.
Yeah, they like a
I'm not calling them a contender.
I never would have let JJ Redick go.
That's a fact. I mean, neither.
Or Jimmy Butler.
Redick. They got to find a younger JJ Redick, because you got an inside presence in Embiid and you have an outside presence in whoever else you have, whether it's Simmons or Harden.
Right.
But like the makeup of that team. And so, you know, the Pelicans are a young team, but they're always going to be a young team, you know, just barely doing enough.
Yeah.
Unless they get like some major pieces. Zion, great talent, but he's 2 burgers away from being out the league. Man.
That's a fact. That's a fact. They got to work on that.
He looks good right now. He looks trim right now, though. He does.
Yeah,
he looks better than he did last.
But my thing with the Sixers, Olden, and tell me how you feel about this, is clearly they've got talent, right? I mean, Embiid is incredible. Simmons is incredible in his own right. I wish he would not just learn to shoot, but look like he wants to learn to shoot and even want to put in the work. But my thing with them is they'll be a contender when they show they're a contender. Like right now, they haven't even made it to the conference finals, and they got swept by a 3rd seed last season. So the talent's there. And I went a little extreme, and I picked them to miss the playoffs because we had a big spout about it. But and that might be extreme. But my point is, there are some other contenders and some other teams in the East that just got better, and I don't think Doc Rivers alone puts them up into that upper tier of even in a fairly wide open East. I just can't call them a contender. Okay, clearly, they got talent.
I get that. You have a right for that. But do you know that they were like a bounce away?
Against Kawhi? Yeah, against Kawhi they were. But that was with Butler.
Hey, and so they can still do it. Now, imagine you put a James Harden into that mix.
No, right. Absolutely.
Right.
You'll have some problems.
Absolutely.
Problems because now you can't sag. You definitely can't sag off of James Harden.
No, you can't.
You can do that with Ben Simmons, but you can't do it on Harden.
Yeah,
and
you
so
can't.
You get another shooter anywhere around the court, and then you have Embiid inside.
That's all right.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, Harden 100%, and again, other really good pieces for sure. The way constructed right now, I'm just not convinced. But
yeah, I mean, like I said, New Orleans, I know how to stop New Orleans.
Yeah, right.
Not that hard, but it's gonna be difficult to stop the 76ers because they definitely have an inside outside situation that you got to deal with, like regularly.
Right. Now.
Wants to go outside, he can go outside and shoot threes.
Right.
And so to me, that's I like that.
So he's nice.
They just need a coach.
And so the other thing is that I've been arguing with people from my hometown, from Philly, who are vehemently against putting up Ben Simmons in this trade. They are like, no, it's no way. I don't want to do it. And it's blowing my mind. I'm like, wait a minute, guys. So you're telling me that you're cool with Ben Simmons, even though he's been there for 4 years and all cool with Ben Simmons has got you. It's bounced out in the first round early, swept last year, bounced out in the second round. And so you're telling me that you would rather just keep Ben for the potential of him coming at some point, as opposed to the win now mode that you should be in, especially when Ben is not even the best player on the team, is my thing. And so your best player can't really stay healthy. So you should be in any team that Joel Embiid is your best player on. You need to be in win now mode to me.
Listen, here it is. Ben Simmons is going to be a very good player for a long time.
Yeah.
But he's going to be limited in his skill set.
Yes.
Until he does something drastic with that damn shot.
Right.
Oh, and I think, like you just said, he's got to look to shoot. I played with guys that couldn't shoot. I played with Gary Payton when he first got in the league. He wasn't a great shooter.
Right.
But you know what? Gary didn't care.
Right.
He was still putting that up.
Shooting. Yeah.
That shot put.
Jason Kidd, he was still putting it up there.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's Simmons' problem. You're not going to score all your points in the paint.
Right. No.
Be able to play you for that. And so to me, that's his biggest problem. And so until that happens, and we don't know when that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so that's the problem, Philly fans are going to have to come to grips with. When is it going to happen, or is it going to happen? Lonzo Ball can't shoot, and he still puts up more shots than Ben Simmons from outside.
Exactly. And he's been in the league for less time.
Yeah.
So it's just like.
That's the problem, and they're going to have to and he has to be included in the trade because Houston will not agree to anything unless Ben Simmons and some other pieces are put in the trade.
And anybody who's feels like they should not put Ben Simmons in this trade, they need to be evaluated. I can't understand.
This is a rare occasion on this show, Olden, but I actually agree with Joe right now because Ben Simmons is really the main reason. As good as I think he is and as talented as I think he is, I think he's the main reason because he's one of those two guys on that team of why they're not a contender. I mean, do you think as they're currently constructed, they're a real contender, or are they just a good team, in the Eastern Conference?
They're a good team in the Eastern Conference. If they get guys knocking down shots throughout the season, they're going to definitely be in the mix. But Ben Simmons is a guy that could take them over the top.
Yeah.
If he was just more aggressive offensively from outside, you don't have to even put the ball up.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm not saying take 10 outside shots.
Right.
Take 1 or 2 or 3.
You need to be a threat.
What's going to happen now, instinctively, players are going to start to come out a little bit, and they'll open it up for you to go by them. Right now, everybody just standing there looking at you, daring you to shoot.
Right.
That's total disrespect.
Yeah. And can you imagine if they drop James Harden in that, especially in the East,
that'd be
so
great.
wide open?
How about this, though? Imagine if they were able to make that trade without giving up Simmons.
Oh, that would be. But I think that's hoop dreams. I think there's no way. I can't see anybody doing that.
Why not?
Because
Brooklyn they have a chance to get Harden without giving up Kyrie or KD.
I thought that the issue that was holding up the Brooklyn deal was that Houston wanted one of them. That's what I thought.
I get neither one of those guys.
Yeah, that's why I don't think the deal is got done.
It's gonna be Karis LeVert, Dinwiddie, and a bunch of draft.
If I'm Houston, I don't have to do anything right now, so I'm not giving him away for a bag of chips. Like, it's just not happening.
Yeah, I don't need to do anything. That's what I'm saying. Harden's not in a strong position right now.
Yeah, at all.
But I do believe he will be traded way before the deadline.
Before the season is okay. Before the deadline. Okay, let's get your pick. So who do you have coming out of the East, and who do you have coming out of the West?
Man, I hate doing this because, you know, I always have that little thing called injuries. And luck that comes into play. You know, so as is, no injuries, luck for everybody. I could see either the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, I like really what they've put together.
Mm-hmm.
Brooklyn, Milwaukee in the Eastern Conference Finals. I do think Milwaukee gets over the hump now that Giannis is settled in with his contract. But
you like Drew Holiday in that mix?
I like Drew Holiday in that mix a lot, more so because of the defense than anything else.
Yeah.
You know, that was a problem for them. That was a sticking point last year. It wasn't so much. Yeah, I mean, Giannis got exposed. You know, the team got exposed offensively, but I think they had a hard time stopping people, you know.
Yeah, they did.
And so, to me, you know, those two teams in the West, I like the Lakers. I always go with a defending champion.
Yeah.
You know, no matter what, I always go with a defense. I think they got better and younger.
Yeah.
You know, but not. And so I like them. I do like the confidence that the Denver Nuggets showed at the end of the year. I think they're going to be a little bit better this year than they were last year.
I do too. Yeah.
And the Clippers, oh, man, I don't know. This thing is it still baffles me. And now, we're dealing with this whole $2.5 million hush money.
Man, so we was about to touch on that before we get out of here, but so you think you got the Nets coming out of the East, and then you got Lakers coming out of the West.
Lakers.
Okay, who you got, JT?
So we talked about this, I think, last week, but I have the Nets or the Heat coming out of the East. But I do think Milwaukee will be much better. I like Drew Holiday a lot. But if I had to pick one, I'd go with the Nets. I just think KD at this point in his career, if he's healthy, of course, that's a big question mark. Yeah. I think he's just so dominant. And then you've also got Kyrie there, and you've got a bunch of other great pieces. And the easy pick in the West is the Lakers. Outside of injury, they just got better. They were already better than the rest of the West. Mm-hmm. You know, that's tough. With Clay and Golden State, I had them at least competing in the Western Conference Finals, but now not.
Which quite. I don't know why you said that, but good. What'd you say?
Not the only one.
Warriors are gonna make the playoffs
for sure. That's what I said.
Warriors will be in the playoffs. And listen,
I had them in the playoffs. I just didn't have them nowhere near. If we talk about contenders,
Steph Curry is we appreciate what Clay does, but the reason Clay gets to do that is because of Steph Curry.
Yeah. They need each other.
Kelly Oubre in there, I like that. You know, he's not going to replace Clay by no means.
It was a nice move,
But them 18 points, 20 points, it's going to offset a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Now, if we get Draymond stay healthy, and Wiseman plays decent, oh, they're gonna be a problem for people.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah.
They made some nice offseason moves for sure.
And now I think they're gonna get Jeremy Lin. So I think they're waiting on some little pieces to put together. But I think that's gonna. And I'm not saying he's a savior or anything, but I like Jeremy Lin.
I did too. Yeah.
He's steady. He's solid. He's gonna give you basic. He's a Warriors type of player.
Yeah,
for sure. A lot of guys have stuck their nose up at some of the moves they've made, but what I like is just that they're solid at the right role positions and coming off the bench. Now they've got a strong bench, and they're 3 deep at the center position, which they've literally never been as long as I've been alive.
I'll tell you what the key is. The key's got to be Wiggins.
Yeah.
Wiggins.
And to me, if Wiggins is your key, you ban the drizzle, like Martin said.
No, I'm saying only if he plays well.
Yeah, like an X factor. Yeah.
Right.
If he plays well, I think it bodes well for the Warriors. But if he doesn't play up to par, then it's trash. Because
Wiggins is challenging.
He cannot play like he did when he was with Minnesota. You can't have 1 game, 3 bad games, 1 good game, 4 bad games.
Yeah, he needs consistency.
Yeah.
He got to be very consistent. I mean, he's an athletic freak. I don't know what. I think Jimmy Butler broke him down, or Thibodeau. Somebody broke him down mentally.
Yeah. I've had many.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Thibodeau's gotten a lot of guys down.
Yeah. Okay. Before we get to the rapid fire, Olden actually mentioned it. He brought us into it. So I don't know if you guys have heard of this Johnny Wilkes situation, right? But the story came out. Johnny Wilkes claims to be close to Kawhi Leonard and has filed a lawsuit against Jerry West and the Clippers, alleging that Jerry West owes him $2.5 million for helping the Clippers sign Kawhi. Now, the league has launched an investigation into this. But then after all of that news came out, there was a leak of an audio voicemail that Jerry West left calling Johnny Wilkes. If you haven't heard the audio, we just pulled it up here, and we're about to listen to it.
Excuse me, this is Jerry calling. I really want to thank you a lot for, trying to help. I heard this morning that everyone over in the Lakers camp think they're going to get him. I find that hard to believe that he would want to go to that shit show where he would not even be
off the top rope.
Wouldn't even get his name in the paper, and he wouldn't be the face of the franchise, that's for sure.
Wow.
And he might be the best player on the team, but hope things are well, and again, I really, really appreciate everything you've done. I'll keep you apprised of what goes on, but I do want to get together with you privately and love to take you to the dinner and even Sam if he's around, so I can at least pay my respects to you guys for being so generous and helpful. Take care. Talk to you sometime soon. Bye-bye.
Okay.
That sounded like a very nice voicemail from Jerry.
It sounded like you're guilty, bro. I don't know. I just like it was the worst timing for a leak to come out when they had just denied that he even knew this guy. Kawhi did a whole press conference saying, "I don't know that guy. He just done nothing for me."
Listen, I think he helped him with something else, and he just happened to also mention Kawhi. But I think he did a favor for him in some other area of life, and he just wanted to thank him. And I think it's very sweet of Jerry West to extend that offer.
Okay.
And I cannot talk about that.
Yeah, Olden doesn't need to comment. He doesn't have to comment on this, okay? But the audio is out there, and it happened. So
it does not look good for us right now.
It's not looking too great. But we'll see what comes of this investigation. I mean, at the end of the day, it seems like the worst that could happen is a fine. Like they get fined some money or something like that, which Steve Ballmer will be fine.
I'm telling people right now, don't come at the logo like that. Don't come at the logo like that, man.
The logo got it.
The logo got to learn how not to leave voice messages.
How about that? Don't leave a message. Only in person. If you like, what? You never.
It'd be like, "Hey Johnny, call me back."
That's it. That's it.
Yeah,
Not even that. Like, have your
Exactly.
people call his people, and then y'all meet up, and then y'all, get that way.
Man.
Okay, let's get out of here on this. Dwayne Haskins is under investigation for breaking COVID protocol. So after he lost on Sunday, he decided to go to the strip club and
understandable
and party it up. The issue now is that he was in the strip club maskless. But my issue is that he was in the strip club after a loss, period. And he's the starting quarterback of the Washington team with no name. So it also is going to be this might play a big role in what happens this weekend if he is suspended, because this is apparently supposed to carry us a 4-game suspension and a fine. And Alex Smith is hurt right now. So this could be a big deal in the NFC East picture when they really only have to win Sunday and they'd be in. So
yeah, man, I try to stay away from COVID because I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't.
Right.
You know, because it's so political right now. Everybody's politicizing it.
Yeah.
You know, I have my personal feelings about it, but it's like, oh man, we're in this pandemic. I get it, but we can't be in this pandemic forever, man.
I know.
At some point in time, they're gonna have to let people live.
Right.
Yeah.
And so to me, this young man, you know, yeah, he shouldn't have gone there, or at least put a mask on, but he has every right to go to a strip club. Whether, you know, it's after a win, you know, after a loss, the game's over. There's not much we can do about it. You know,
Yeah.
I can't. Do that.
I agree.
It's the PR thing, though, for me. Like,
listen, when I lose, I'm mad as hell. I'll take, you know, in the locker room. I'll probably in my car. I get home. But once I'm home, you know, the minute I step back out, the game's got to be out of my head. I can't dwell on it.
Yeah. It's the PR thing for me, though. Like, you have to be smart enough to go, this is going to be a bad look, even though you're right. Like, you're entitled to live your life off the field and off the court. But you got to, if you Dwayne Haskins, you got to go, I'm the starting quarterback for the Washington football team with no name, and I can't be caught first breaking COVID protocol because now this is your job's guidelines. But two, you got to know this is not going to look good, and I don't want to be a distraction to my team while we're in the middle of a playoff push.
Agreed. It's funny because Olden said, I try to stay away from COVID. I thought you were going to say I try to stay away from strip clubs, which I was about to start laughing.
Oh, I did that too. I'm not a big strip club guy.
I'm not either. But I agree with you. I think this whole thing is just so over politicized, and that's really more so what it's about. Unfortunately, not that it's not a situation, but at some point, we got to move on. Like, it's something we got to be careful. We got to take measures, but like there's other repercussions that are happening that are going to be far worse for our country and even worldwide if we don't kind of get back to normal life. And look, I agree with both sides, honestly. Dwayne Haskins, under the circumstances, you shouldn't have done it. But at the same time, he's a young guy playing in the National Football League, and he should be able to go do that. He's also in the nation's capital, which makes it extra ironic, but it's just, it's a shame that we're here.
Yeah.
Listen, it's tough, man. It's a tough go, but we've been in this thing for almost 10 months, man.
Yeah, you're right.
And so to me, when is this thing over? We got
fatigue.
Back now. It's like if everybody did what they're supposed to do, wash your hands and all that stuff, then okay. If we're doing all of that, then why can't we be out? Why can't we do things?
Yeah, fatigue.
We're taking the precautions already. And, but at the end of the day, I always, like I say, I don't want to get too political on this, but it's like, okay, we're doing all this for a 1.8% death rate.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we talk about the 98.2% success rate?
Yeah, I think we all fatigued at this point.
Agree.
We all ready to it's fatigue, but
we don't care about people, man. They want to throw that out there, but we really, as a country, we don't care about people, because if we did, we get rid of cigarettes. If we did, we make cars safer. More people die from car accidents. More people die from cigarette smoke. So it's like, come on, man. I don't want to hear all that.
Yeah,
I agree. Everything you just said.
I wear a mask out of respect.
Yeah.
But I'm not buying all of this. So that's my take.
But the moral of the story is, Dwayne Haskins, you got to be smarter than that.
Paul, the mask on. You can still get your goody.
Right. Paul George says that he told the Pacers that AD Anthony Davis wanted to come and they botched the deal, which to me is like, I don't know why we need to be speaking about this, Paul George. Like,
Yeah.
the Clippers going to clip, man. Like, it's
But
just,
no, look. So what?
He's
After
saying,
the
look.
fact-
He's
after
saying,
the
look.
fact, you can say anything.
right.
He's saying, look. I was supposed to win. I just didn't.
Yeah. Is that your point? Like, what are we getting at?
Yeah, I could have had AD. I could have had LeBron. You could say anything you want.
Yeah.
Man, move on. You got a big ass contract. You better enjoy it. I like Paul. I mean, I coach Paul.
Yeah.
I like him. He's a great guy. Hey, man, sometimes you just gotta let things be, man. Sometimes less is really more.
Right. Just let it live, bro. Vanessa Bryant's mother is suing her for back pay, saying that Kobe promised to take care of her for the rest of her life. This is sad to me because Kobe had an issue with his parents and with being sued over money thing, a money thing. And so as if Vanessa doesn't have enough trauma and stuff to deal with right now with little girls that she's raising. This was just like a messed up thing to hear. So
it's tough, man. Again, we're not even a year yet.
I know, which is crazy.
She's still grieving, man.
Right.
And the mom has the audacity. Come on, y'all.
Yeah.
See, hey, man. Some people, man, they really belong somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it's not us, you know. It's just that's a shame, man.
Yeah.
You should be supporting and comforting your daughter and your grandkids right now. Not worry about money. You've been living a good life.
Right.
Because of Kobe and your daughter.
Right.
And now you want more?
Yeah.
Because Kobe probably, well, you know what? May my friend rest in peace, but you should try to go get it from him.
Yeah. and that's that on that. Olden brought this up earlier. Jeremy Lin is finalizing a deal with the Warriors pending clearance from the Chinese Basketball Association. So don't fear, Warriors fans. Jeremy Lin is coming to your rescue. The Jeremy Lin, you never know.
Insanity, bro.
Insanity might be back. It might be back. So, be on the lookout for that happening.
But it's a win-win for everybody because, with his Asian background and the Warriors have a strong Asian presence.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
That it's a win-win for everybody. Yeah. So he'll clear that whole CBA waiver. That's gonna happen. But again, like I said earlier, he fits the mold of the Warriors. He's gonna be a guy. When he gets his opportunity, he's gonna be steady and solid. Now, what I'm gonna like is if he and Steph are in the game together, because he really can pass the ball, and he's 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah,
man, that's gonna be nice. Steph running, his plays, and dropping down on the baseline, popping out.
Yeah,
Jeremy hitting him for a jumper.
Yeah. I like him with the second unit too. I think that'll be a good thing for him.
Yeah.
It's interesting too because he actually, a lot of people don't know, he got his start with the Warriors. I think he didn't make the team, but he played summer league and got picked up later. And he's also a born and raised Bay Area kid, Pali High School. Shout out.
Win.
Yeah, that's cool. That's win-win. Last but not least, the Lakers have agreed with Kyle Kuzma on a 3-year, $40 million extension. I like Kuz. Kuz seems like if he can, set into his role here, and also do his thing when it's time for him to really be the star of the second unit, which I think was the plan for him a while ago, and he hasn't quite gotten there yet. But from everything that I've heard, it sounds like they feel good about him and where he's going and his role in this new roster and this new team. So I think it's a good move. I don't mind. And also they can still trade his contract once it kicks in next year.
Oh yeah, definitely. Sometimes they do give you that money so they can use it as trade bait.
Yeah.
And so I do like Kuz. I think Kuz, if he eases up on the LA lifestyle a little bit and and work harder, he could be third scorer for the Lakers, a consistent third scorer.
Yeah.
Again, you cannot score 20 and then score 2.
Yeah, that's been his thing.
Great play don't do that. If you want to be great, the consistency has to be there.
Yeah.
You know, a very talented young man. He is not shy about putting the ball up.
Yeah.
You know, and so to me, you know, this could be good for him. It's like, hey, you know, I didn't get what I thought I was gonna get.
Yeah.
You know, as far as a 5-year deal, but now you got something to work for.
Yeah.
Olden, speaking of putting in work, what do you think is the ceiling for Wiseman? Not just this year, but kind of career-wise. Obviously, all the talent in the world, but what do you see in him?
He's a bigger Chris Bosh. You know, I think if he can just
Good comparison.
continue, you know, growing and working on his game, he could definitely, you know, he'll give you pretty much what Chris Bosh gave you, you know, become an all-star. And I think that was a great pick by the Warriors. But again, it's these young guys got to get in the gym.
Yeah.
You know, we've been saying this forever, man. Men lie, women lie. Numbers don't lie.
Period.
If you put the time and effort in, you're going to get better. You have no other choice.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's how I know
Amen.
guys are not getting in the gym.
Yeah.
Because you're not getting better.
You're not getting better. Yeah, period. It's easy. It's easy to tell.
100%.
It's easy to tell. Olden Polynice, thank you so much for joining the show today. Please tell the people where they can support anything that you have going on and where they can follow you.
Oh, man, they can follow me on anything and everything. I'm on Twitter, Olden Polynice, the #1, since somebody stole my name. Facebook and Instagram is just Olden Polynice. And I'm also on Cameo now, so if people want to, you know, like to give us shout-outs, special messages, birthdays, anniversaries, whatever it is, I'm on Cameo. My name Olden Polynice.
So check that out. He's on Cameo now. I'm at JoeConnor33 on everything. Make sure you like and subscribe on the YouTube and turn on your notifications so you know when we are dropping a video.
Yes, sir. JT Harker on everything. New music coming soon.
Boom.
Next single coming January 15th. Official dates.
Joe,
you heard it. You saw the artwork. It's coming.
It's coming.
And also JT Harker Sports for all the sports cards. Also posting all of our backstage sports media as well.
Dope. Thank you for listening. Olden, again, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Olden.
This has been another episode of the Backstage Sports Podcast. Until next time, be safe and be great. Peace.
Backstage Sports.